On 17th July 2014, Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was brought down over eastern Ukraine. The flight was on its way from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. On board were 283 passengers and 15 crew members. Among the passengers were 196 Dutch nationals. Since victims' relatives, states, and the wider public are trying to understand what happened, how it could happen, who is responsible, and how to address these responsibilities. Well, stay tuned to the video and watch the video till the end. Hello guys, welcome to the Mayday investigation. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications to get new updates about plane crashes and basically anything around air crash investigation. Hit the like button to show your support. And in this video, we are going to talk about Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. So, without any further ado, let's begin. The efforts to find justice have faced many complications and legal complexities. With Ukrainian consent, the Dutch government took the initiative to investigate the crash and repatriate the victims and their belongings. A number of Dutch government reports have since been published. Senior U.S. intelligence officials told the Associated Press that Russia-backed rebels in the region were likely responsible. Evidence of a direct link between Russia and the shoot-down. Tensions between Russia and much of the international community, including the US, were already high before the MH17 crash, so the shoot-down and Russia's possible involvement only made matters worse. The United States and Ukraine claimed a Russian-built Buk anti-aircraft missile system was used in the attack on the plane. The Buk system is described as very sophisticated, and many analysts suspect the rebels would need supplies and training from Russian personnel to successfully shoot down a high-altitude plane like the MH17. It is a very difficult day for us. It is now the first day of the prosecution, and that is difficult for us. Evert van Zijtveld, who lost his two children, Frederick and Robert Jan, and his wife's parents, told journalists he walked into court. A Dutch-led international joint investigation team spent years collecting evidence before issuing arrest warrants last year for the four suspects: Russian Sergei Dubinsky, Oleg Pulatov, and Igor Girkin, and Ukrainian Leonid Karchenko. They all presumed innocent until proven guilty. Girkin had said rebels were not responsible for the plane's downing and declined further comment. Others could not be reached for comment. Countries participating in the investigation, Ukraine, the Netherlands, Australia, Malaysia, and Belgium, agreed in 2017 to hold trials in the Netherlands under Dutch law after attempts to set up an UN-backed tribunal founder over Russian opposition. Prosecutors say the suspect faced preliminary charges of the murder of 298 people and of causing the aircraft to crash, resulting in the death of all aboard. Under Dutch law, the relatives are allowed to make a victim impact statement to the court without being asked questions. About 90 people are expected to do so over the next 3 weeks, some speaking via live video links from other countries. I think probably next to the verdict, it is one of the most important days for the family members because they can speak to the court, but through speaking to the court, they speak to the suspects and also to the responsible people wherever they are hiding, said Peter Langstraat, a lawyer representing victims' relatives. So this is a form of communication with the people who are responsible for the disaster. International investigators say a Russian-made missile fired from an area of eastern Ukraine held by pro-Moscow rebels brought down the Boeing 777. But Russia has denied all involvement. The investigators said in their final report that the Buk 9M83 missile that downed the plane exploded less than a meter from the cockpit, killing the two pilots and the purser inside in an instant and breaking off the front of the plane. While some of the passengers may have been conscious of the up to 90 seconds it took to hit the ground, they probably were not fully aware of what was happening amid the oxygen-starved, freezing chaos. However, it identified an area of 320 square kilometers from which the launch must have taken place. All the territory within the area was in rebel separatist hands at the time of the crash, according to daily maps of fighting released by the Ukrainian National Security Council. Yaustra said the 15-month investigation found the warhead was that used on a Buk surface-to-air missile system. Missile fragments found in the cockpit crew's bodies, as well as paint traces, enabled investigators to identify the Buk. Back then, local authorities had cleared planes through the eastern Ukrainian airspace as long as they stayed above 32,000 feet, and the Malaysian plane was flying well into the stipulated safe flying zone. During the day, the Malaysian plane was shot down. Several other flights were flying nearby or were scheduled to fly through the same zone, including an Air India flight. Since then, most airliners have avoided either the entire Ukrainian airspace or the eastern Ukrainian airspace. Even before the downing of the plane, airliners were avoiding the airspace. However, such decisions are often costly, and economy airliners do not prefer the longer routes. In hindsight, Russia had managed to alienate Ukraine from the rest of the world by launching attacks or supporting attacks through its airspace and deemed it unsafe. For Ukraine, this must have meant a loss in state revenue, as airliners usually pay governments to fly into a country's airspace. The suit against Russia is meant to support individual cases brought by relatives of 65 of Dutch victims. Many relatives have begun procedures and have now entered a phase where they need evidence. Bloch wrote in his letter to Parliament, "We have that evidence, and providing it to the court by starting this procedure is the best way to help them." Immediately after the crash, the Ukrainian government produced intercepted audio transmissions in which alleged pro-Russian separatists talked of having shot down a plane. The separatists and their Russian backer denied culpability, while offering a shifting series of alternative explanations. Russia later vetoed a United Nations resolution to create a tribunal that would have assigned blame for the incident. But video evidence blatantly surfaced that purported to show rebels combing through the still smoking wreckage, seemingly dismayed at finding a civilian aircraft. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky welcomed the Dutch-led inquiry conclusions, Reuters news agency reports. He said he hoped those who are guilty of this brazen murder of innocent children, women, and men will be put in the dock. UK Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt said Russia must cooperate fully with the prosecution and provide any assistance it requests, in accordance with UN Security Council Resolution 2166, which was passed in response to the downing of MH17. Russian officials and Russian-backed rebels reject accusations of involvement, with the Russian Foreign Ministry saying that JIT investigation is biased and politically motivated. The Russian firm that manufactured Buk missiles has insisted the device was a model no longer used by Russian forces and said its own investigation showed it had been fired from Ukrainian-controlled territory. And 2 days before the JIT was due to publish its interim findings in September 2016, Russia produced radar images which it argued showed the missiles could not have come from rebel-held areas. Radar experts appointed by the examining magistrate backed up the JIT findings. Historically, it's almost never the case that military groups shoot down civilian airliners on purpose. American officials, for instance, said they mistook Iran Air Flight 655 for a fighter jet when a battleship in 1988 shot down the plane and killed the 290 civilians on board. None of this rules out the possibility that someone purposely targeted a civilian aircraft, but there simply wasn't evidence to support that in the aftermath of the crash. Now that we've come to the end of this video, I want to thank you for sticking with me, and I'd love to know what you think of it. Just comment down below. Also, if you like this video, make sure to like it and stay safe. Today's video is over, but if you want to see more, there's one on your screen right now. And there are a few more videos coming soon about the air crash investigation. I'll see you in the next video.